Now, Dana Bush brings up a really good point. She mentions Kamala's slogan, which is that we're not going back. And Dana says, well, what about for those voters that do wish they could go back to when Trump was in the White House, because homes were more affordable, inflation was at record lows. So we're going to be watching the interview she had with Dana Bush at CNN.
Well aware that right now many Americans are struggling. There's a crisis of affordability. One of your campaign themes is we're not going back. But I wonder what you say to voters who do want to go back when it comes to the economy specifically, because their groceries were less expensive, housing was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
Well, let's start with the fact that when Joe Biden and I came in office, during the height of a pandemic, we saw over 10 million jobs were lost. People, I mean, literally, we were all tracking the numbers. Hundreds of people a day were dying because of COVID.
Oh my goodness. That was so cringe. First of all, she can't look Dana in the eye until she gets to the end of a sentence. She's not actually directly answering Dana's question. She's going back and saying, well, when we took over the administration, this is where we started. And she can't even get the words out of her mouth. She's stumbling over her words so badly. Let's go back and watch that.
Pandemic, we saw over 10 million jobs were lost. People, I mean, literally.
People, meaning literally.
We were all tracking the numbers.
We were all tracking the numbers.
People a day were dying because of.
People were literally, we were all tracking the numbers. People, like literally 100 of people a day were dying. Like, what kind of a sentence is that?
The economy had crashed, in large part all of that because of mismanagement by Donald Trump of that crisis.
Pause. All right, let's just take a look. She says the economy had crashed, mismanagement of Trump. I'm just going to take a look here. I believe the economy was actually coming back very nicely, if I'm not mistaken. She was in office January 20th, 2021. So I'm going to just take the year before that, January 20th, 2020. We're going to see the crash. It's there. She's indicating a crash, which we all know happened. But it is my understanding it was starting to come back. So I just want to see. And this is still Donald Trump. You know, he left on January 20th, 2021. That's when they took over the White House. Let's just take a look here. I wish we could see a chart here, a bar graph, but we're not. Okay, I want to just come down here now. So January 20th. We're going to go to this adjusted close column. All right, here we go. So here we are at 3,320 on January 21st, 2020, and we're well before the crash. The crash happened sometime at the end of March, beginning of April. We'll see that here. 3,000, 2,700, 2,300, 24, 23, 25, 26, 28, 27.97. We're into April now. We're into the 3,000s and we're in June. 3,200, 3,300, 3,400. We're in August and September. 3,300, 3,600 in November. 3,700 in January. So beginning of a year prior, we were at 3,300. And when Kamala and Biden took over office, we were at 3,798. We had more than recovered. All right, let's just go ahead and take a look at the bar graph. It's a little bit easier to see that way. Great. All right, so here's our crash. See that right here? All right, so we, again, right here, we're looking at, that's February. Here's, if you look down here at the bottom, there's a black box that gives us our date, and it's January 13th, 2020. The stock market that tracks the S&P 500 was at 3,335. We have our crash. Here's the bottom of the crash on March 16th, 2020. We dip all the way down to 2350. Big drop. All right, that's 1,000. That's 1,000 points there. All right, now let's just look. Okay, when do we break back to that point? Right here in July 2020, we were right back where we started 6 months prior. Okay, so within 6 months, the stock market had come right back. And Trump was still in office. Let's keep going to the day that he left office. It would be January 20th. That's as close as we're going to get. January 19th, 2021, 3,793. The stock market was not the problem for Kamala and for Biden, not at all. So I don't buy what she just said. I think that's a lie, and I think we all can see right through that. Companies were back to doing well. The stock market had recovered and then some, and its trajectory would continue to do well. So I do not believe that Trump handed over a flawed or a failed economy or a crashed economy. He had helped to bring it back before he left office.
When we came in, our highest priority was to do what we could to rescue America. And today, we know that we have inflation at under 3%. A lot of our policies have led to the reality that America recovered faster than any wealthy nation around the world. But you are right. Prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high. The American people know it, I know it. Which is why my agenda includes what we need to do to bring down the price of groceries. For example, dealing with an issue like price gouging. What we need to do to extend the child tax credit to help young families be able to take care of their children in their most formative years. What we need to do to bring down the cost of housing. My proposal includes what would be a tax credit of $25,000 for first-time home buyers, so they can just have enough to put a down payment on a home, which is part of the American dream and their aspiration, but do it in a way that allows them to actually get on the path to achieving that goal and that dream.
I'm sorry, that is a face of, do you believe me, Dana? I mean, okay, she's got a few problems going on in there. One, don't get me going on price gouging. What she is suggesting is that she plans to implement a price ceiling on grocery store owners and food suppliers. Okay, grocery store owners already have some of the lowest margins. They are not ripping off their customers. They are barely making it just like the rest of us. And if you know anything about economics, you know that price ceilings are very, very bad. They will not solve this problem. They will only make it worse. Secondly, she mentioned that inflation is down below 3%. I want to just take a look. Let's find out. Let's find out what inflation is at right now. Okay, so she says it's below 3%. Look at that. We are in July. It was 2.9. That's really convenient. Very convenient, Kamala. I really hate it when elected politicians right before a new election will suddenly magically lower gas prices, fix the inflation, all of these things that have been a problem before, a long time before. Suddenly they magically make them better before election season. And then once they're elected, they turn right around and we have the same problem again. No, Kamala and Biden are responsible for inflation rates of, let's not forget, 2022, 7.5. And this is a monthly inflation rate, 7.5, 7.9, 8.5, 8.3, 8.6. And the height was in June 2022 at 9.1. So I'm sorry, but I don't feel that good hearing you say, wow, look at our inflation rate of below 3%, when near the entirety of their administration, we have seen record inflation rates that haven't been that high in 30 years. So give me a break. The last thing that's really getting to me is when she talked about giving first-time home buyers a $25,000 credit to go and help with the down payment of a house. Come on, are you kidding me? Like, what is $25,000 going to really do? It might get them the loan, but it's certainly not going to help them make their monthly payments. Like, $25,000 is a drop in the bucket compared to what happened. Our home prices have doubled. So if you really want to impress the first-time home buyers, maybe offer them like $100,000. But you know what? Here's what I really want to do. I want to go and see how much has the U.S. given to the Ukraine war. Let's find out. Okay, so just a quick Google search tells us, at least right here, that the U.S. has provided more than $55 billion in military assistance. Continuing though, if we continue, all right. So if we open that up, it says that the U.S. has provided that $55 billion in military assistance, and approximately $58 billion in military assistance since the invasion. So that's over $100 billion. I'm just going to quickly check another website. Let's just take a look here. The United States has allocated $113 billion in emergency funding to support Ukraine. However, just because money has been allocated doesn't mean it has been spent. Congress has set aside emergency funding, yada, yada. So far, the United States has sent Ukraine over $60 billion. Okay, look, we know they're going to send over the rest of the money. $113 billion. Are you kidding me? $113 billion. That could provide housing for every single homeless person in the United States. So you tell me, how can she look us in the eye and try to make any of us feel good about her measly $25,000 credit to first-time home buyers when she gave $113 billion to another country for a war that never had to happen? I'm so sick of being lied to. That is such a deceitful manipulation. For her pitiful attempt to make us feel good, even though she's taking from one person to give to another. This type of shenanigan has been going on for a long time. And really what it comes down to, And what I will be looking for is I'm going to be looking for a candidate who wants to reduce government spending, not add more programs. We don't need more programs. We don't need more wars. We need less government spending so Americans can keep more of their hard-earned money in their pocket. And really, the bottom line for me is I am sick and tired of being lied to. I am sick and tired of politicians trying to deceive, trying to manipulate, trying to say what they think we want to hear. And meanwhile, there's a whole lot of stuff they're not talking about. And there's a whole lot of problems they've created that they don't even want to let us know or admit that they have done that have really caused this inflation crisis that we have all been paying for. We all paid for that Ukraine war. We will all pay for that Ukraine war for the next 100 years of our lives. Our children will have to pay for that Ukraine war that never had to happen.